We'll also bring you news across the borders where at least 17 soldiers have died when a helicopter they were traveling in for a training exercise crashed in the outskirts of Kenya's capital, Nairobi. We're back with the details of these stories and more. Please do stay. Hello and welcome to the program. Our first story this evening. Former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor says he is ready to submit himself for thorough investigations into the circumstances under which the former NDC government signed a power purchase agreement with energy company Ghana Power Generation Company, whilst calling the bluff of Attorney General Godfred Dame, who has hinted that individuals responsible for the judgment will be punished. Dr. Kwabena Donkor said the current NPP government is desperately trying to engage in vile propaganda over its inability to defend its decision to abrogate the contract.
According to Godfred Dame, a report by a committee constituted in September 2016 revealed that the agreement was not properly made, resulting in excessive power supply. He further stressed that past ministers of state and individuals who played a role in signing the contracts will be investigated.
The CID deals with criminal proceedings.
Okay.
So it's just an investigation which will form the basis for possible charges against public officers culpable.
But in a sharp rebuttal, the man under whom's tenure the power purchase agreement was signed is calling the bluff of the Attorney General, Godfred Dame.
How do we turn round for reasons of propaganda and mischief just to paint a previous government black? Why do we turn around? The facts do not support their narrative.
Dr. Kwabena Donkor says he's ready to submit himself to any kind of investigation.
As a patriotic Ghanaian, I am ready any day, any time to respond to any call to help with any investigation. And I take sole responsibility for piloting the agreement through Parliament, for piloting it through Cabinet, up to the time I left office at the end of December 2015.
Meanwhile, the Executive Director for Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, Mensa Thompson, is calling for public inquiry into the controversial abrogation of the power purchase agreement between the Ghanaian government and the GPGC, which has resulted in judgment debt. He accused the Attorney General of being negligent and lacking substance to pursue the case.
What we are witnessing is a cocktail of negligence, lack of respect for contractual obligations, and an Attorney General who slept on the job that has resulted in this country now going to pay a whopping $170 million for absolutely no work done to GPGC. Now, the Attorney General is going around making a number of claims which we believe are quite unfounded. And I think that it is on this basis that we are calling for a public inquiry into this judgment debt saga so that we can get to the bottom of the matter. Because the public must be made aware of how many emergency power purchase agreement was entered into by the government, by the previous government. How many of these power purchase agreements has been terminated by the current government between 2017 till date? We must know, because we are aware that there are a number of power purchase agreements signed. How many of them have been terminated? Now, on what was the basis for the termination? Because all we know about is this GPGC one, which has currently been terminated, that has resulted in a judgment debt. But if you look at all the power purchase agreement that was signed by the previous administration, this GPGC contract was the most generous of all the transactions, especially where most of the agreements, like Ameri, required the government to provide an LC, which is a letter of credit, as a form of guarantee for the transaction. This particular agreement did not require any form of LC.
Meanwhile, the editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guard newspaper, Abdul Malik Kweku Bako, has defended the botched GPGC power deal that has caused Ghana a judgment debt of $170 million awarded by a London court. On Metro TV's flagship Good Morning Ghana show on Thursday, Kweku Bako noted there could be judgment debts not tainted with fraud. In a sharp rebuttal, Communication Officer of the NDC, Samit Jemfi, said this judgment may not be tainted with fraud, but government must accept the responsibility of criminal negligence and recklessness.
I asked myself, what have we been doing since we were confronted with the challenge of judgment debts, especially the negatives? Take a look at the Justice Apau's report. Whole lot of recommendations pointing to the sources of why those particular ones happened. Those that were unavoidable, he states them there clearly. What have we been doing? Virtually nothing. And perhaps it means we are not creating a culture of deterrence. And because we'll be living here with judgment debts for a while to come, there's a need for something to be done. I have no opposition to the need to investigate and, if possible, to sanction. I have no problem with that.
Mr. Bako says that not every judgment debt is tainted with fraud or corruption. That is true. And I will not say that this judgment debt is tainted with fraud. But I can tell you that this judgment debt is tainted with criminal negligence and criminal recklessness. And that is why I am sad, sitting here as a Ghanaian. That is why I'm heartbroken. Because we've been slapped with this $170 million judgment debt, which is accruing interest on a daily basis, compounded on a monthly basis. Because of the criminal negligence and recklessness of the Akufo-Addo government. They are the ones who have caused this huge financial loss to the state, and therefore must be held responsible. So yes, there may not be fraud, but there is criminal negligence and there is criminal recklessness. It is so clear that that is the reason why we are where we are.
Now, to some security matters, the Minister of Defense, Dominic Nitiwul, has refused suggestions that his outfit has been overseeing secret recruitment through protocol arrangement into the Ghana Armed Forces. In response to question by a member of parliament for Adaklu on what steps the ministry is taking to ensure equity in the recruitment process, the minister assured that due process will be followed in recruiting personnel into the Ghana Armed Forces.
The processes that armed forces go through, it does not lend itself to protocol allocation. So I can confirm that the members of parliament are not given protocol allocations. Tell your constituents that members of parliament are not given protocol allocations. They've never been given and they will not be given protocol allocations.
Will you consider a situation where when recruitment is done, every member of parliament could say that at least I know somebody recruited from this constituency that is in the army. It is for our own sake and for the security of the country. It will be helpful.
As I said before, the only change in the past has been increasing the number of women from the 10% to 15%. All other processes remain the same, and they are guided by regional balance and the 15% for women minimum. That's what it is, and that's what the military has been using all these years.
Away from that story, Attorney General Godfred Dame has described as unnecessary calls by a Member of Parliament for Medina constituency, Francis Sosu, to introduce a legal regime for the compensation of persons who have been wrongfully arrested, detained and convicted. Speaking to Francisca Kakrafosing, the Attorney General said the Constitution already makes provisions for that.
The general phenomenon of indiscipline in many regards, galamsey, reckless driving, indiscipline on the streets, and all, is really of concern to me. And I've actually commenced, it's actually just, it's about to be formalized, and I'll formalize it in no time. A dialogue between myself, the Honorable Chief Justice, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Minister for Transport. I'll initiate, send them letters in that regard. Two, start some consultative processes and all. And that will actually lead to the institution of more or less a permanent committee which we are addressing such issues. The committee will be made up of representatives from all these high-level persons and all. So it's just one of the means to address it. But I think that is very serious. One person says that if you go to any country, you want to see whether the people are disciplined, just look at the streets. And really, in Ghana, I think our story that is not sound at all. The Constitution has provisions on that. If a person has been wrongly convicted, after the acquittal, the person can apply for compensation. The Supreme Court is vested with the jurisdiction to determine such compensation and all. In fact, recently we dealt with a matter like that. So already there's legal or sufficient legal provision for such a situation.
In other stories, the Attorney General, Godfred Dame, has described as mischievous reasons given by the Fix the Country campaigners to embark on the protest. Some Ghanaians have since April been venting their spleen on the government, calling it to improve the living conditions of Ghanaians. Speaking to Francisca Kakraforsen, the Attorney General, Godfred Dame, said reasons given by the demonstrators aren't compelling, especially at a time where the pandemic of COVID-19 is still high.
I'm also for demonstrations. I've also led demonstrations. I'm on record as one of the founders of the Alliance for Accountable Governance. I led a demonstration all the way from Circle to the streets, TUC, ministries, and what have you. And I think I'm also in full agreement with the right to express oneself freely. The right to express yourself can be exercised through many means other than demonstrations. So demonstrations is really not the only way to express oneself. The substantive matter is before the High Court Accra. I wouldn't like to prejudice this. Safe to say that the restriction has been imposed by circumstances that we all know, COVID-19. There's nowhere in this world that demonstrations are allowed. It's only on account of spontaneous circumstances that people demonstrate. It's only on account of very compelling circumstances that people may demonstrate. So you take account of the Black Lives Matter. Very unfortunate incident, tragic, I mean, crude on all accounts. And people just spontaneously came out onto the street for weeks on end and had support around the world. What is the purpose for this demonstration? They claim they're going to, hold on, they say they are demonstrating on account of broken promises by successive governments. The demonstration on their own showing was on account, it's not about the MPP. So it is not urgent, it's not pressing. If you are demonstrating about broken promises by successive governments since independence, what is the urgency about it? They actually indicated that they wanted to be heard. So what did the government do? We acted in a manner that no government had done. In an unprecedented fashion, the government constituted virtually its top ministers in government to engage them on their concerns. I was one of them, the Minister for Defense, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Minister for Interior, Minister for Finance, and a few other ministers. When I was at the meeting, they actually refused to speak. And as when I left, they made a few remarks, and that was it. I don't know why.
Watching News Night on Metro Television, also live on Facebook at Metro News Live on DSTV channel 277. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back, the bulletin continues. Stay with us.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
yenim say whoop football pa. And nothing high sense as sponsor Euro 2020. Edia Maono. Nesa sunti na yatete TV so say who Edia Maono. A high sense Euro 2020 TV super promo. Kahoe kwajo brand new high sense TV and nebuo dafo. Pictures near clear na color near deep. Sound quality this so dear one it here. High sense TV so dear entry power. About down one access you are. Akona utusa barefoot. Everything 18th June. Akofim 11th July. A high sense Euro 2020 TV super promo. Emma Refisa. High sense and Kwan Emma 5 years warranty. High sense Euro 2020 TV super promo. Ekosu wa high sense showrooms e wa Ghana for nanina. What Judia na nsenya. High sense everyday prices for everyday people. High sense official sponsor at the Euro 2020.
You're welcome back to the program. Let's bring you more stories. And parts of Accra have been experiencing water shortage for about a week. The residents say even when water flows, it is either dirty or flows with a very low pressure. Metro News engaged residents around Kaneshie and Bobwashi.
Within areas like Kaneshie and Bobwashi say they have not had water flowing through their taps for about a week now.
We are facing water situation. To be precise, in shortage of water. So we are pleading on the government's behalf so that it should help us to get the water. And from the distance that we get the water, it becomes difficult for us to get the water.
Many honey. Kaja manke 3 days in jo 4 days. Wananu no wakafe no kroko. Nye bibi bionanu. Nimka juan halepo. Mini mami woyo 1 pin wa. 1 pin anu kwale mwewe 1 pin wa. Ewa awawo. Pipe agbele awo light un agbe. 1 pin agbe kane agwa anga pipe. Wananu wabi ame ba tem ba veta me ba juame.
They called on duty bearers to intervene and remedy the situation to enable domestic and commercial activities to run without fail.
Me a hairdresser. Bear for this, the Yensu. Yensu, you bet you go far away and sunny Yensu. Into a strap buying. And our first cramp on answer pipe number 2. Omo bon kaye, Sebia to pipe, Neja, Obesia, near Timia prepare, Nebia, a booby siwa, near Bubies, but a say antissa.
A pa because Yanyama yesi, any Jania Evenia, and Zonas in a was and a bula. Bulanzu a sort, Udi Sinyama, Ubrepa, and Anticoco Hons, line. Ubako school, Okodile Musa, Obedru school, na ye Bruno.
Well, we've been joined on the phone lines by the Public Relations Office of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Mate, to speak to some of these water challenges. Mr. Mate, welcome to Newsnight. A lot of people, particularly those living around Kaneshie and Bobwashi, want to know what is accounting for the water shortage.
Yeah, thank you. That affected our 3 out of the 4 pumps that we use at the treatment plant. So all of them went off, they broke down, and we have to be there all this time trying to put them back to operation. So that's the situation. 3 pumps out of 4 pumps have broken down at the water treatment plant. And engineers of Ghana Water Company Limited are working to rectify the problem so that we could resume full production at the treatment plant. Okay. Currently, we are producing around 30% because 3 pumps are out. And so, and since water from Wager gets into town by gravity, we are not getting the water to go beyond a certain limit. And that is why we are finding difficult, especially with hilly areas, and then areas at the end or the peripheral of our network.
Okay, Mr. Mate, the reasons you list right now, of course, the failure of these pumps would account for this problem. But then people who need this water for their business, like you heard the story, this hairdresser, will obviously not be happy, especially when they were not told when the problem was about to come. Okay, when will it be solved so that they can enjoy the water that they need?
You said we didn't inform them when the problem was about to come. It becomes very difficult for us to tell, for us to see a problem of this nature. You understand? So some of these things happen when we have a plant shutdown or a plant maintenance work. We inform the general public, but this one is not planned. You understand? It happens, and the only thing for us to do is to rectify it, and that is why we have issued a release to that effect. And we have assured the general public that we are working day and night, working around the clock to ensure that we put the pumps back to use, back to operation before we leave the site. And so I'm surprised at that. Anyway, I want to assure the general public.
Mr. Mate, I still don't get a specific answer from you. Of course, people who are living in these areas, just as you said, it was a problem. You can't predict where this problem is coming from. But then once you see the problem, you are taking steps to correct them. At least you can give a projection. Should we sit for a week? Should we sit for 2 weeks? What exactly should they wait, or how long should they wait so that they can get water?
Unfortunately, I can't give you timelines because 3 pumps are broken down. We are trying to fix them. We are getting parts and all. We are facing a lot of challenges. So I'm reluctant to give timelines. Now, yesterday around 3 p.m., we managed to put one of the pumps back into operation. A few hours later, it went off again. So seriously, I don't think it's the best for me to give timelines. But I want to assure the general public that we are working and we will not leave site until we put the 3 pumps back into operation. So that you rest assured that we are doing everything possible to rectify the situation and to start full production.
The residents are grateful for that, but they'll still be holding you to know when they will be fixed, when they can have their water. But let's move away from that.
It's impossible for me to say, and that is what I'm telling you. I've repeated it several times, that it's impossible for me to give you timelines. We have a serious challenge.
Okay.
And the only thing is for all of us to sympathize with the situation and back us with prayers. So we can have the energy and the strength and the wisdom to have the situation rectified. And I'll give you an example that yesterday we put one back into operation and then a few hours later it went off again.
Right.
How can I give you timelines when we are faced with such challenges?
Okay. Mr. Mate, let's move away from the situation at Kaneshie and Bubuashi and talk about the COVID-19 support, the free water. We've been told by the Ministry of Sanitation that the coronavirus-induced free water for Lifeline consumers would end on June 30. What is your assessment of the program?
For me, everything has gone on very well. In 2020, from March to December, the government gave everybody the opportunity to enjoy the water for free. In 2021, the government gave another directive that if you consume below 5 cubic meters, the government was going to take up your bill to pay. If you consume above, you're going to pay yourself. They've given us 6 months. It ends in June. And for Ghana Water Company Limited, it ends in June. Until the government gives us a different directive, after June, everybody will have to pay his or her bills. For me, my assessment of the situation is that everything went very well. The government has been good to Ghanaians, and we need to appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mate, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight this evening. We've been speaking with the Public Relations Office of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Mate.
Away from Greater Accra, we go to Ashanti region where we're told a lifeless body of a toddler has been retrieved at the bank of Weweso River a day after he was drowned at Sawaba in the Asokore-Mampong municipality of the Ashanti region. The heavy downpour on Wednesday, June 23, 2021, which lasted for about 4 hours, caused huge destruction to properties running into thousands of Ghana cedis. Our Ashanti regional correspondent visited the community and has the rest of the story.
The 1-year-old boy killed by the flood waters was traveling home with a mother on a tricycle, popularly known as Pragya, when it got stuck in flood waters at Sawaba in Kumasi. In an attempt to continue the journey on foot, the child was swept away by the floods. Several attempts by residents to retrieve the child was unsuccessful. The lifeless body of the toddler was retrieved at 11:30 a.m. this morning. The mother of the child, Faidos Abdullahi, explained how the incident occurred. The residents blamed the incident on a dilapidated bridge in the community. According to them, several appeals for the reconstruction of the partially collapsed bridge has fallen on deaf ears. The assembly member of the Denyansi Sawaba electoral area, Samuel Kolebil, together with the municipal's NADMO coordinator, Samuel Jima, say the bridge has become a death trap and appealing to authorities to, as a matter of urgency, intercede and reconstruct the bridge to avert future incidents.
Me asamba am adinya sesa oba me how kasie pa ne sa bridge we afi bia ji se how ba efie bembe ha nyina omo no ma se kura ba de wo ho ye koye hu se ye ba hu se oda mura mu ha enti se de yetime hu body no a ye se bibia etwetia wo ha ye hu body no nso no yampa se nso na fa akra no.
Some residents also spoke to Metro News on the challenges they face whenever it rains in their community.
Time bia nsuo beto bia no flood ne de ekoso spa ya kaka yo metwa kwati bisu de bia nso mu meya maye nso ni mu na na ye mu hye ma ho nso fa ye ma de bia.
Wednesday's downpour exposed the usual problems of poor drainage and encroachment on waterways in most parts of the Ashanti region. The first-class residence areas in the Kumasi metropolis, like Paraku Estate, Atasamanso, Pechi, Patasi, and Hojo, among others, were not left out of the destruction caused by the flood waters. The former mayor of Kumasi and the Ashanti regional minister, Dr. Samuel Sapon, whose fence wall collapsed due to the flood waters at Paraku Estate, expressed concerns about lawlessness in the city and a lack of political will to enforce laws by the authorities.
It's very, very appalling. There is total lawlessness because we have the metropolitan assemblies, the district assemblies. They have to make sure that nobody takes the law into his hands.
Okay, still staying with this story, we have the Ashanti Regional Coordinator for the National Disaster Management Organization, Kwabena Century, to help us understand exactly how the community and the entire region is moving on with this story. Good evening to you and welcome to Newsnight, sir. Hello, Mr. Century, good evening and welcome to Newsnight.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for your time. You've called for certain powers which will empower NADMO to be able to prosecute. I'm sure people within the region, this would not be much news to them because from Atonsu connecting to the high school junction is a very popular spot. Some of these things have been happening. Why can't you collaborate with the bodies empowered to prosecute, so that you can find solution and possibly punish people who are building within the waterways?
Thank you very much, my brother, and good evening to you, President listeners. As you mentioned, Atonsu and Ginyasi, I suppose you are a Kumasi guy. You know the place very well. And as you rightly mentioned, Atonsu, Ginyasi, Esli has been a flood-prone area, and it has been a ritual. It do happen all the time, and at the end of the day, it comes to nothing. Today, just about 3-4 hours ago, we have a very, heavy downpour, which is as much as twice at what happened yesterday. and I've been receiving a lot of stress calls. Afterwards, it will still come to none. So NADMO, I think by now we should have been authority. We should go to Japan. It's the Japan Disaster Authority. Hello?
Speak up a little bit for us so that we can hear you clearly.
Yeah.
Very well.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah. What I said was that Atonsu Jinyasi Eslan has been a ritual. That is a rain flood prone area. And flooding has been, it has been almost every year during the rainy season, we do have flooding, which causes a lot of, a lot of victims. But it has been there for a very long time, and NADMO, we have no any powers that we can. And quite recently, when the sun was on, a lot of feeling of, wetlands were going on. I quite remember this Jinasi opposite the high school. That place is a flood-prone area. Just go there now and see. It has just been filled. We call the authorities, that is the city authorities. They will just go there, put some sandboard on there, and that is it. It ends there. So if NADMO, we have some certain powers that we can prosecute, why can't we do that?
Mr. Century, beyond that, like you said, you are familiar with all these problems. If you are not being given this, prosecutorial powers, can't NADMO collaborate with the bodies that have the wherewithal to make sure that the right things are done?
Long time. We have been doing that a very long time because NADMO, you cannot perform without the authorities. That is the district assemblies. Without the authorities, that is the district assemblies. They have been empowered to embark on demolition exercise. And nothing goes on.
Well, we want to thank you very much, Mr. Kwabena Century, for speaking with us on Newsnight. Kwabena Century is the Ashanti Regional Coordinator for the National Disaster Management Organization.
Away from that story, the minority in Parliament is calling for a bipartisan probe into the alleged purchase of the Sputnik V vaccines and punitive actions to be taken against individuals found culpable in the deal. At a press conference in Parliament, Minority Leader Haruna Iddrisu stressed that the government has sidestepped legitimate channels and resorted to the use of dubious individuals for the transaction and hence will be complicit in any unforeseen ramifications.
The government of Ghana has signed 2 contracts for the supply of Sputnik V vaccines at $19 and $18.5 through middlemen. A move government explains is as a result of difficulties in securing vaccines through government-to-government arrangements, which could have driven down the price. But addressing the media, Minority Leader Haruna Iddrisu argued that the contracts are a breach of Article 181, Clause 5 of the Constitution, which requires such international transactions to secure parliamentary approval. He argued that the government sidestepped legitimate channels and rather resorted to dealing with unknown middlemen with questionable credibility.
The government's attitude now points to one of opportunism in exploiting the pandemic to aggregate wealth to family and friends. Naked and blatant opportunism. And how can you buy a COVID vaccine for $26 or $19 when everybody in the world is getting it at $10 or even for less? And we are aware that the G7 and many other developed countries are making pledges to support Africa.
The minority is therefore calling for a bipartisan probe into the purchase of the vaccines and punitive actions taken against individuals found culpable in any shady deal.
We are of the view that the Sputnik contract signed between the Ministry of Health for and on behalf of the government of Ghana and the third party is not in the interest of Ghana. It is not probably the best to justify the safety and health of Ghanaians, and therefore we are calling for a halt and a probe. We have accordingly filed a parliamentary motion to demand a bipartisan investigation and inquiry into the matter, and the report will advise us accordingly what course of action we should take.
Haruna Idrisu also sought answers on how Frontiers Health Services were engaged by government to conduct COVID-19 tests at the Kotoka International Airport.
Noguchi could have performed this role at least cost to the state of Ghana is a loot and share for family and friends at the airport as far as this transaction is concerned.
You're still watching Newsnight, and we're back with business with my colleague Winston Taki.
Thank you, Nana Entry. This is business here on Newsnight. My name is Winston Taki. I will bring you updates on what the Bank of Ghana is saying about the cedi appreciating at a cumulative rate of 0.2% in the first half of 2021. Now, the President Akufo-Addo believes that it is time for Africa to build a resilient economy in the post-COVID era by creating an entrepreneurial-led ecosystem that supports the growth of new businesses, participating those by young people. Opening a virtual annual meeting of Africa Development Bank, the President stressed that the continent must move steadily in coping with the many economic challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
I hope to see additional collaborations, partnerships, and the continued allocation of substantial resources towards initiatives that accelerates our chances of building back boldly, better, and greener. I ask that we remain focused on promoting inclusive growth, especially in digitalization, health, agriculture, industrial processing, and eliminating gender disparities. Today's annual meetings have an appropriate focus, building resilient economies in post-COVID-19 Africa, which is an unavoidable imperative if our continent is to recover from the effects of the pandemic. In an unprecedented global event of this magnitude, we must engineer a response that will help accelerate our structural transformation. Our will in seeing it through must be total. We need to reawaken bonds of solidarity between the Bank Group, African Union organs and institutions, and regional economic communities, and demonstrate a united commitment towards rebuilding our community.
At a lecture organized by the Coalition for Restoration under the theme, Ghana's Economy, a Victim of COVID-19 or Pre-Existing Condition, the Member of Parliament for Bolgatanga Central, Isaac Adongo, who was a key speaker, said Ghana's economic challenges cannot be blamed on COVID-19. In a sharp rebuttal which has to do with allegations against the Finance Ministry, Charles Edouard said, though he started the Black Star brokerage, he had to resign when he entered into government. Member of Parliament for Bolgatanga Central, Isaac Adongo, has accused the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Edouard, of conflict of interest since his outfit, Black Star Brokerage, has been engaging in government businesses.
My checks at the Research General Department, as of 2 weeks ago, was that Black Star Brokerage is owned by a holding company called Black Star Holding Ghana Limited. Shell company. Black Star Holding is owned 95% by Charles Edouard and 5% by his brother, Christopher Edouard. And he appeared before us and said he has transferred his shares to what? To a trust. That is lying under oath.
Meanwhile, Charles Edouard has refuted these allegations.
I own 90% of Black Star Holdings. I started Black Star Advisors, I started Black Star Brokerage, I started Black Star Asset Management, I started Black Star Real Estate Business. So I started all those businesses. I never said that. But when I joined government, I resigned from the board of Black Star, I resigned from management of Black Star, all the Black Star entities under the Black Star Holdings brand.
Now, on the interbank board today, the Ghana cedi traded against the pound sterling at the mid-rate of 8 cedi 35 pesos, while the euro went out at the mid-rate of 6 cedi 87 pesos, selling at 6 cedi 87 pesos. On the commodities market today, the price of crude oil dropped today at a unit price of plus 0.15, selling at $73.23. Gold traded at 1,780 cedis 46 cents. With coffee trading at $151.85. Up next is Forex and commodities. That's it for business here on News 9. My name is Winston Taki. Nana, Entry and Crosby are standing by for the rest of the bulletin.
Thank you very much, Winston. We are taking a break. We are back with sports, and Johnny will tell us all that FIFA has for our continent.
Gets dirty and wet after wiping your sweat or blowing your nose with it. Keeping a dirty handkerchief in your pocket or bag is very unhygienic. Reusing it increases your chances of getting sick from germs. That is why I always use Flora disposable handkerchief. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is disposable, thus making it a more hygienic option. It's thick and very absorbent. With 10 tissues in a pack, Flora disposable handkerchief is better than a cloth handkerchief. The Flora toilet roll, Flora multi-purpose paper towels, Flora table napkins, and Flora box tissues in a shop near you. For both purchases, call Delta Paper Mail on 0243 033 033.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Sports News is next. Phil John Corte is here to bring us all the updates. Phil, what's coming up?
Well, so much to talk about in African football because the former vice president of CAF is in trouble with CAF. They're in trouble with FIFA, sorry. Then we'll focus on the Euros. Up next, we'll bring you the latest in sports. My name is Phil John Corte. Let's start with the World Football Governing Body, FIFA, that has suspended former Congolese president of football and vice president, the person of Constant Omari.
The World Football Ruling Body has found the seasoned DR Congo football administrator guilty of some unscrupulous procedures. FIFA's Independent Ethics Committee has therefore handed for Vice President of the Confederation of African Football, Constant Omari, a 1-year ban. The Congolese football chief was found guilty of receiving aids from Legadari during discussions between CAF and the French media outfit. Omar was claimed to have pocketed 66,000 euros, that is $80,000 US. FIFA has requested he returns the money as part of his punishment. The findings of the New York Times in November 2020 had encouraged FIFA to open a formal procedure on January 7, 2021. The chairperson of the Adjudicatory Chamber of the Independent Ethics Committee has ratified the plea bargain concluded between Constant Omari, the former president of the Congo DR Football Association, former first vice president of CAF, and former FIFA Council member, and the chairperson of the Ethics Committee's Investigatory Chamber. The statement reads, "In this respect, the receipt of benefit created a conflict of interest that detracted from Mr. Omari's ability to perform his duties to CAF with integrity and in an independent and purposeful manner." Omari recently left his role as DR Congo's Football Federation president after a 16-year reign, despite having 6 months remaining in his 4th term.
Away from that, let's go to Europe and focus on the teams that qualified in the fixtures starting on Saturday with Wales taking on Denmark on Saturday. The fixtures on your screens. Over the Italy will play against Austria in London, whilst on Sunday it will be Holland taking on the Czech Republic in Budapest. Portugal would travel all the way and meet Belgium. That is on Sunday. On Monday, we'll see whether Czech Republic can beat Spain in Copenhagen. France will take on Switzerland in Bucharest. And on Tuesday, the Three Lions of England will play against Germany. They'll play against Germany in the Wembley Stadium, while Sweden will be at home against the men from Kiev, that is Ukraine. Away from football, let's focus on tennis. And world number 1, that is Novak Djokovic, after winning the French Open, is eyeing the Wimbledon title.
Play Wimbledon now, and hopefully I can get my hands on the Wimbledon trophy again. You know, I had a championship title run in 18 and 19. Last year was not played, so hopefully I can keep that run going. I'm feeling good on grass. I think I improved a lot with my game on grass over the years. Every Grand Slam is like a, you know, probably a Mount Everest to climb, you know, for tennis players.
Serbian and world number 1 Novak Djokovic, after winning the French Open, owes to had the Wembley title, which will start this weekend in London. Just before we go away, let's bring you update on the Ghana Premier League at the Accra Sports Stadium. The Phobians are leading Lagos Cities by 2-1. They've played close to 75 minutes, and we'll bring you all the updates tomorrow morning with Michael Kofi Roba. For now, my name is Phil John Korte. Back to Crosby and Nana for the rest of the news.
Phil, thank you for sports. Kotoko fans are not so much happy, are they? Well, let's see how it goes. Phil John Korte brought us sport to go for a break. When we come back, entertainment news is up next with Desmond Okriko.
The search for a reliable partner in dealing with your U-turn bus needs has been made easier and convenient with SA Automobile. SA Automobile, formerly U-turn Ghana Limited, has been in the business of offering quality U-turn products and services at competitive rates. At SA Automobile, our team of expert staff, management, engineers, and mechanics professionally deal in the sale of U-turn buses, genuine spare parts, its repairs and maintenance at our highly effective workshop with remarkable speed. We also have available the sale of Camel car batteries, Weichai and Kia spare parts, Zonton coaches and light-duty vehicles for everyday movement. Contact us on 020-000-0831 or 054-555-7500. You can also email us info@saautomobilegh.com or visit our website at www.saautomobilegh.com. SA Automobile, the pleasure of doing business with you is all ours.
And it's time for entertainment news right here on Newsnight. I'll be back with an interview with Kofi Kenata. Stay tuned. My name is Desmond Okrekudan. So now it's a day more to Ghana's biggest music award show. That is the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards, and it's definitely going to be a packed night as musicians in the country will be awarded for their works over the past year. Now joining us via Zoom is a three-time Songwriter of the Year winner at the VGMA, Kofi Kenata, to discuss the VGMAs and his chances there. Hello, Kenata. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight.
Hey, hello, good evening.
Now we know that you'll be performing tomorrow at the awards. How have the preparations been so far?
Okay, so far so good. We went there for rehearsal yesterday, and I think we'll be rehearsing early morning tomorrow too, before the main program. Yeah.
Okay, now you have 4 nominations this year. What are your expectations? Are you going to pick all of them?
Whatever will be. Yeah. So I'm hoping for the best while expecting the worst. Anything can happen.
Okay, so
yeah, I hope I win most of them.
But 4 of them, which one do you really want to win?
I want to win all of them.
Okay.
but yeah, I would like to win the songwriter to to keep the records.
Okay,
yeah.
So you have 3 already. You want to win the 4th one?
Yeah, I just want to keep breaking, setting and breaking.
But just tell us, what is that magic when it comes to songwriting with you? You have won the last 3. How do you do it with the songwriting?
I don't even know. I think I would have to interview myself and ask the same question. I would have to interview Kofi and ask the same question. I don't know, but I think most of the times I consider the listeners, like I put them in mind whatever I'm writing, and I feel like there are a whole lot of content or issues or stuff that we need to address. So I think that is what is doing the magic. I don't keep myself in a box. I just try to explore, research stuff that I don't know, and try to come up with things that are not common, like things that people can relate, and like things that will appeal to the fans. See?
Okay, now the year and the review, how would you say it's been for you as an artist during COVID-19 and all of that?
It shouldn't be an excuse, It shouldn't be an excuse. A lot happened, and I wasn't the only one involved, so it shouldn't be an excuse. Okay. Whatever will be, as I said earlier on. But thank God we're still alive. Yeah. Life goes on.
Okay. Yeah. Before you go, I saw you post a video on social media. Are we getting to see something new from you when it comes to a new music video?
Yeah, very soon.
Hello, Kofi. Okay, so that was Kofi Kenata there talking to us about the VGMAs and his chances there. So that's it for entertainment here. My name is Desmond Okrekudan. So back to Crosby and Nana for the rest of the news.
Desmond, thanks so much for bringing us entertainment. To talk later behind the scenes. You're watching Newsnight. International news is up next. On the foreign front, a police official in Kenya says 17 soldiers have died when the helicopter they were traveling in for a training exercise crashed in the outskirts of the capital, Nairobi. 6 people with severe injuries were rescued from the scene in Ole Tapisi in Kajiado County, the officer said on Thursday. Now, the officer spoke on condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to speak to the media.
Kenya's military confirmed the crash but did not give details. It does not like to make any public report of significant losses. The police official said there were about 23 soldiers inside the helicopter when it crashed Thursday morning.
And that's all time allowed for this edition of News Night. We came to you from our studio C on Dr. Issa Street, Northridge, in Accra. My name is Noble Crosby Adam.
My name is Nana Yoenchi. Good night.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Ghana is a beautiful country. There is so much of it you probably haven't seen, haven't experienced, haven't touched, haven't felt, haven't eaten. When this is all over, let's discover our